probably still at, good morning.
That's been your 26.
You okay? I know.
Good morning and welcome to the Ventura County Transportation Commission regular meeting. Today is April the 3rd. It is 9:01. We'll call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please? I'm sorry. Let's go to Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Engler will help us.
Very good. Join me in honoring our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call?
Chair McQueen-Lejeune.
Here.
Vice Chair Parvin.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Brogy.
Here.
Commissioner Enegren. Commissioner Engler.
Here.
Commissioner Garrell.
Good morning. Here.
Commissioner Halter. Commissioner Judge.
Here.
Commissioner Levere. Commissioner Long.
Here.
Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner MacArthur. Commissioner Tremblay.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
Commissioner Regisford.
Here.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have any public comments not related to our agenda items? Any public comments not related to the agendized items? Okay,
There are none, Chair.
great, thank you. We'll now move to our Caltrans report from Commissioner Regisford.
All right. Good morning. Thank you. I appreciate the time here. I, first of all, would like to, again, appreciate our VCTC director and board members, as well as general public. I am just wanting to make sure that we provide updates, and I do have just a few updates to share from Caltrans' perspective. And of course, just want to give regards. My district director is not present today, but she's taking a well-deserved vacation. But I do have a few updates to share. First of all, this month, Caltrans, we're celebrating the National Safety Awareness Month, actually Safety Awareness Week. That's later on this month. And we're encouraging drivers, safe driving in highway work zones, as well as we are celebrating our Workers' Memorial in Sacramento this month, which is generally an event that we hold every year to just acknowledge our fallen highway workers and just acknowledge the safety is top priority for travel on our state highway system and for the traveling public. I also want to mention, we don't have any major closures that we're scheduling for this month in the county, but we do have closures on the Sepulveda Pass that we are putting on our changeable message signs across the region. And these closures are happening actually this weekend. We have some northbound closures on 405 between Sepulveda and through the Sepulveda Pass this weekend and next weekend as well. This weekend we will have southbound and northbound closures, and then next weekend we will have only closures on the northbound side of 405. I also would like to mention just an appreciation for VCTC submitting their Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant application. We very much appreciate, acknowledge, and support that application. We do expect that the award announcements will be announced in the next several weeks. We are anticipating a June announcement of awards for that program. We are tracking 2 other programs that are of note, one of them on the state side, one of them on the federal side. The state side right now, the Active Transportation Program has been released, a call for applications, and the deadline is June 22nd of this year. There is approximately $620 million statewide available for this program. We encourage all folks, all agencies that are interested, state, local, and regional agencies are eligible to apply. And there are several workshops that are planned for if any applicants are interested in that program. I'm happy to share that information as well. We are also looking at a federal program of interest. This is the Port Infrastructure Development Program. There's about $500 million total available for this program. And of course, this is countrywide. And the deadline for that has been extended to June 26th of this year. So we do encourage Port of Hueneme and other partners that may be available or interested in this program to consider applying, and we're happy to share any additional information on that as well. I think that will conclude the major updates I wanted to share for today. I'm happy to take any questions or any feedback from the commissioners, and thank you again for the time. Appreciate it, Chair.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Thank you. Thank you for the update. I wanted to follow up, and perhaps Caltrans can give us a presentation at the next meeting or an update in regards to the public safety address for the 126. And there was a study that was going to be looked at in November. I would like to figure out how do we move forward based on the information as to what the new projects, especially, it's a perfect timing with the budgeting coming up. So I'd really appreciate that. And also with Halleck, how that's going. We have a lot of congestion on the 126 all the way to Santa Clarita, if you can imagine. And so any way we can reduce that pressure, it'd be fabulous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will definitely discuss this with our team and hopefully bring back an update to the commission for 126. Appreciate it.
Great. Are there any other questions? If not, thank you for your report.
Thank you, Chair.
We'll move on to commissioner reports. Are there any reports commissioner would like to make at this time? Anyone? Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to the executive director report.
Thank you, Chair. McQueen Lejean, members of the commission, good morning. Happy Friday. You have my executive director's report in front of you. I'm just actually going to touch on one note that's not on the report. Because we have the budget today and we have closed session items. But I was able to attend the American Public Transportation Association, APTA, CEO's conference last weekend, along with my colleague Vanessa Rauschenberger, who runs Gold Coast Transit, and it was a good conference, and it was I think instructive just to hear from and learn what our colleagues are doing across the country. In many ways, we're facing some of the same challenges: lack of funding, uncertainty of funding. And really just how we keep our public transit systems going and our mobility systems going. But it was a very, I think, very valuable conference. It's the third one I've attended with Vanessa Rauschenberger from Gold Coast Transit, and reinforces to me just how important our partnerships are across the entire county, not just with all the cities as members, but with the county. And as we kick off the draft budget, I was reminded as I came in earlier this morning, getting off on the Las Posas exit, we had an FSP truck right there assisting someone. Always good to see that. I know there was some heavier traffic that came after that. So I'm glad everybody's here safely. But with that, I'm open to any questions on my executive director's report.
Any questions? If not, thank you for your report. All right, we'll move to item number 8. This is where the commissioners may add an item that they deem important. Are there any additions to the agenda? If not,
Chair
gonna
McQueen LeJean,
move
we do have
to-
an addition,
gonna move
a
to the-
revision to the agenda. We are asking that item 9F on the consent calendar be pulled to the next meeting. And the reason we're asking that is we've received in the last 24 hours several public comments regarding this item. And some of them have some good suggestions about how the item could be improved. And they would allow VCTC to work with our consultant, WSP, to further refine the scope and to respond to the agricultural stakeholder comments. But I do, if there is someone that would like to speak on the item, I'll defer to council here to make sure I don't screw this up.
So this item being pulled, during the public comment portion on the consent calendar, we can still make space for public comment on this item that's being pulled if anyone wishes to speak. Or the alternative, we could speak during this item right now if people are here and wish to still speak on this even though it's being pulled.
But the item will come back next month, and we will incorporate, I think, the comments we've received by email, which all of you have received also.
Yeah, quick question. If we're going to pull the item and it's in the consent calendar, do we need to make a action when we call for consent calendar, or does a vote required because it is on the agenda?
So it can be pulled at, during the consent calendar, it would just be noted that the consent calendar is being put up for consideration, excluding the item that has been pulled and moved to the next meeting.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. Anything else, Martin? Mr.
No,
Epperson?
that's all.
Okay, great. So we're now going to move to the consent calendar, and this is where we can officially pull an item. I hear that there is a request to pull item 9F until May. And so is there any other items are requesting to be pulled for discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve? Okay.
To the chair, just, would you just invite if there is
Okay,
any
got it,
public
got it.
comment?
Okay, great. Is there any public comments, Madam Clerk? You have an announcement, I believe, and then I'll go with the comments that I have.
There are a few public comments for item 9F, and also we did receive electronically 8 public comments that were distributed to the commission regarding item 9F.
Great, thank you. I'm going to move to the public comments that are in the room. First, we'll have Tara Axel Rosenthal.
Hello, thank you for taking my
Let me
comments.
just say this, is it 5 minutes or 3 minutes? 3 minutes, you have 3
Oh,
minutes.
I'll be good.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Tara Axel Rosenthal, and I'm a 5th-generation Santa Paulan. My family's been farming along Telegraph Road since the late 1800s. Avocados pay our bills right now, and before that, it was lemons and oranges, and before that, walnuts and apricots. I'm very proud of being a 5th generation in this beautiful valley that we live in. My main concern and why I'm here is about the Santa Paula branch line and the way that VCTC views the land. Just because they've purchased the railway and the right-of-way doesn't mean that they can come in and change and do whatever they want, change the purpose of the railway and interfere with our businesses. From the beginning, they've talked about gathering input from the landowners and businesses that will be impacted by the bike path, but talk and actions are very different things. After reviewing this new ag outreach plan for the Santa Paula branch line, it's very obvious that VCTC is assuming that the project's a go. Public engagement is supposed to shape a project, and farmers have not been part of this process unless we've made them acknowledge us. VCTC's new ag outreach is assuming that the project won't change much, and that's not engagement or outreach. The project needs to change. During the very few meetings that were held, we weren't allowed to ask questions at the end of the presentation, and that's what it was. They were presenting how this wonderful trail was going to go through the middle of our property. If we had questions, we had to write them down and put them in a collection box or email them. Where are the answers to our questions? They're acting like they're engaging with us, but they tell you they engage with us, and then they never get back to us. This project cannot move forward without analyzing the impacts of agricultural businesses that the Santa Paula branch line is going to impact, especially the EIR. It must look at all the potential routes. They're not looking. They bring out their maps, they let us put our stickies on it, but they're going to continue moving forward with their original routes. And different routes impact different agricultural operations, different food safety and operational concerns. I don't believe that VCTC has really looked at changing any routes for the Santa Paula branch line. There's some major obstacles along the route that need to be discussed and figured out before the work starts. The EIR, it must analyze for pesticide use, exclusion zones, food safety requirements, and without specific analysis, the EIR will be incomplete and inadequate. How are we supposed to continue our business if VCTC won't take the time to understand the obstacles that are very valid concerns? If this project moves forward, our questions need to be answered and planned for. We cannot pause or reschedule our business for bike path users.
Thank
And what
you.
about vagrancy,
Thank you.
defecation, theft, and food safety?
Thank you for your comments. Thank you so much. Our next comment, forgive me if I pronounce his name wrong, Lovis Lampara. Luis, looks like a V. Sorry, it looks like a V, I'm sorry. Thank you. Luis.
No worries at all. I respond to almost anything. So, Louise Lampera, Ventura County CoLab. First, I do want to recognize and thank Director Erickson for pulling this item and taking a second look. Really do appreciate that. The letter that CoLab submitted has some technical arguments. That's not what I was going to speak to today. Instead, if the commissioners would indulge me, and if you would imagine for a moment that an agency came to you and told you that there was going to be a public right-of-way going through the middle of your property and your home. For some of you, maybe that right-of-way cuts through your garage. For others, maybe it's your kitchen. Maybe it's your bathroom or your bedroom, right between your living room sofa and your television. Or maybe you have young children and their bedroom is on one side of the right-of-way and yours is on the other. You would have very specific concerns. You would want to sit down with someone and talk through how this affects you, your family, and your home, because your situation would be very different from your neighbors. You'd be trying to figure out how you get to your bathroom, what it means to have the public going through your bedroom 24/7. So the agency says, okay, we will develop an outreach plan. And then they give you the plan that was presented for today. They tell you, before you ever even get to talk to them for the first time, that they are not going to address your specific concerns and your specific situation. Instead, they might add a handful of general statements. Things like people should stay on the path, regardless of whether that path cuts the corner of your driveway or goes through your bedroom. They'll tell you they'll meet with you 4 times, but not in person, only virtually. And they will provide the materials that you are allowed to react to and comment on. So I'm just asking you, how would you feel? Would you feel like this is real outreach and engagement? That this was a process designed to help protect you and have your issues heard and addressed? Or is this just to check the box? Because that is what is being proposed to the farmers today. And I would hypothesize, if this were happening to you, you would be standing at this podium with me, asking for the plan to be reworked. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public comment is Maureen McGuire.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to address you today. I wanted to spend my time talking about a recent event in Bardsdale. So CDFA does a survey of 20% of commercial agriculture in the citrus disease prevention division every year. So over 5 years, they survey 100% of the trees within a sampling protocol. And during this survey on March 17th, they announced that they found a positive psyllid for this bacterium for Wanlongbing, which is devastating to the citrus industry. It's a disease that's devastated Costa Rica, Florida, and that we've been actively working to fight against. I'm the chair of the ACP HLB task force that's been active in Ventura County for the last 10 years. So the process for that looks like the samples happen, the hot psyllid was found, the grower who's been participating in area-wide management for over 10 years, doing everything that the science recommends for them to do, immediately goes into action and uses the pest control recommendations from UC Davis to reduce their risk not only for their own farms, but all of their neighbors. Then there's a protocol where CDFA comes and starts testing trees in a certain grid to see if the trees have been infected. So right now we're waiting on the results of that test. If those trees come back positive, they'll continue testing more trees. The grower at their own expense needs to do pest control mitigations, remove trees. We have no idea how many trees they might have to remove, how many their neighbors might have to remove. And the quarantine would expand in a 5-mile radius that would impact almost to Piru and all the way to parts of Moore Park. That represents millions of dollars of required mitigations for growers in that region. Based on the review of Dr. Neil McRoberts from UC Davis Entomology Lab, the concentration of the bacterium in that psyllid indicates that that psyllid did not get infected in Bardsdale. It was transferred there, likely through our corridors of normal transportation, where packers spend, again, millions of dollars tarping and protecting our citrus corridors. And the Ag Commissioner has dozens of inspectors who are enforcing those mitigations. That psyllid, if it wasn't found and those pest control mitigations were not done, would lay its eggs. Its nymphs would feed on the trees and infect that tree. By expanding the transportation corridors of people moving leaf litter across the Santa Paula Branch Line bike trail, you're creating a corridor to move psyllids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
3 minutes is so fast.
Okay, Madam Clerk, there are no other comments. Is that correct?
Not at this time.
Great, thank you.
Can I make a comment? Because I was going to make a comment with this is being pulled, and I want to make sure that it's stated. We had a meeting on this before it came to the meeting, and I just wanted to be clear with the community. There was an ordinance for the county that moratorium on the bike lane till it expired in 2015 is brought to my attention from our executive director. And it was voted by the Board of Supervisors to look into the bike lane. I just want to make sure people are clear that I did not vote for that. There were 3 other supervisors that actually voted for that. I am currently looking at getting the moratorium, looking to reinstate that. I think it's extremely important that we are looking for our farmers and our agriculture. I understand this process, and the concern is that if there's not houses and there's only business owners with ag, this is a huge pressure on them, along with our water and our labor and so many other things that are going on in the states, in the county. This is crucial. I understand that this bike plan is great when there's houses there or it's open space. But when you're encroaching on the businesses and the farmers, this is a huge industry that we are very prideful for. And I have great concern of putting more stress and more strain on this area when there's no houses. And those are miles of beautiful ag land that we're looking at. And I have stressed this. And the reason why I say that is because I asked for the agriculture and the stakeholders because I didn't think they were being listened to as well as they should. And so to have an objective agriculture, I think you need to be looking at our farmers. So I appreciate this. I know this process is really important to understand what property Sierra Northern uses versus the farmers and all this other stuff, but we need to look more big picture. It's not just a path. And we do have bike lanes on roads that are very good and successful. I was very frustrated at the last meeting when we discussed this, and I want to make sure I'm extremely clear that this is a huge pressure on our community. I do hear my farmers in my unincorporated areas, and I really stress to our community and our commissioners here to really think about this, because this is a huge pressure. And if you even look at the ag market right now and the research that's been going on the last 10 years, you should be very concerned that that Santa Clara Valley is going to go straight to houses. So I dropped these issues on because that's how serious it is. So thank you.
Madam Chair, can I make a comment as well?
Yes, you can, but I'm going to ask if this is a public comment, then that you all fill out your public comment cards.
I have to do a public comment?
If this is is this a public comment? Because we're actually pulling this item.
Well, to me, it's important because it was pulled, but I want to, when it gets brought back, there's several things that I want to make sure staff is considering.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay. Because I read, I'm glad it was pulled, first of all, so thank you, Martin and team. But, I read through the scope of work, and I was really discouraged because, to me, it was not good faith outreach and engagement. We're presupposing no additional revisions. We're doing a corridor level analysis, which ignores specific impacts to individual properties. The thing that really stood out to me was that we're pre-funding a statement of overriding considerations, which is essentially saying that no matter what we hear, we're moving forward. Those three things really stood out to me as something that needs to change, and I hope that what gets brought back to us is a lot more of what I would consider to be a good faith outreach and engagement, where we're actually listening and we're willing to make changes if what we hear necessitates that. I didn't see that in this current draft, so thank you.
Okay, everybody's good? All right, so let's go ahead and let's get a motion and a second. The motion would be to include,
I'll move
to
the
pull.
consent with the removal of 9F for the next meeting.
I'll second.
Great, thank you. Great, any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Broggie? Yes. Commissioner Enegren?
Yes.
Commissioner Engler?
Just point of clarification, we are voting on just pulling 9A. Number 9.
The vote is on the full
The full
consent calendar minus.
With pulling?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Judge?
Yes.
Commissioner Levere?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez? Commissioner MacArthur?
Yes.
Commissioner Parvin?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Vice Chair Parvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Tremblay?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Chair McQueen-Lejeune?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the discussion calendar, item number 10, fiscal year 2026-27 draft budget. This will be our executive director and Ms. Acero.
Thank you, Chair McQueen-Lejeune, members of the commission. It's an honor to be presenting the 2026-2027 draft budget to you. I first just want to acknowledge Lupe Acero and the entire budget team. Daisy Contreras is here with her. And this is actually Lupe's first kind of budget from start to finish. She's just been with us a little over a year, so she jumped right into the draft budget process when she started the job a year ago. Hope I was clear enough to her that you're starting, and by the way, the draft budget's due like in 2 weeks. So, but it's worked out well. I just want to acknowledge how she has worked with the entire team at VCTC. As all of you know, these are uncertain times with financing, especially at the state level and federal level. But VCTC has a long tradition of producing balanced budgets and operating in a very fiscally responsible way. And I think this budget continues that with the funding that we are quite certain we're going to have. I'm going to just do the first couple slides, as I have in the past, overview of the federal and state transportation funding. Starting with the federal, we continue to be grateful for the federal funding that is largely stemming from the IIJA, the bipartisan surface transportation bill that was passed, coming on almost 6 years ago now. One of the key provisions of that legislation was an increase in transit operating funding by 30%. And that applies mostly to Gold Coast Transit, our largest transit operator, but also to the VCTC intercity buses, which we operate, and really all the transit operations in Ventura County. Reauthorization of this, I'm not almost done on federal. Reauthorization of this federal transportation bill is underway. It's been a bit of a tricky dance with the administration right now, but we're hopeful that the Congress will continue in the spirit of bipartisanship going forward that produced the last bill, and we have been very ably represented in Congress here by Julia Brownlee, who, as you know, will be moving on, but we are very hopeful that her successor will continue that partnership, and also with Congressman Salud Carbajal from our north. Both Salud and Julia sit on the T&I committee, the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, so it's been very helpful to us. Next slide. On the state funding, I've shared, I think, with all of you that a large part of my activity last year, and as well as all the transit operators and transit executives in the state, was trying to preserve the funding that was coming from the state that is critical to our programs, especially the Youth Ride Free and the College Ride program. And specifically, I'm talking about the funding from Cap and Trade. Because the state lost almost $5 billion in money for high-speed rail, we had I'll call a series of discussions with the governor and the legislature. Fortunately, the legislature was able to push back on the governor's proposal and keep all but $1 billion of the cap and trade funding, which was allocated for high-speed rail. But we were able to preserve the lion's share of it, which is really keeping our College Ride and Youth Ride Free program funded this year. Hopefully that will continue. The SB 125 program, which is in its second year now, that provided significant funding for all the $4 billion, that came through that statewide. Significant funding for all operators in Ventura County, especially Gold Coast Transit, and we're hopeful that something like SB 125 may be considered again going forward, but it has been very helpful. But it is in our second year, so we are largely dependent on the LTF funding, as you'll hear more about in the presentation. That's derived from the quarter-cent sales tax and state sales tax that comes to us. That's almost 43% of our budget, and thankfully that has been holding up pretty well. It's actually slightly higher than last year, which is little counterintuitive because we're in an interesting economic time. You'd think that with inflation being high and gas prices being so high, at least the local economy seems to be okay. So testament to the strength of California's economy. Anyway, with that, I will be open to questions as we start the budget, but I'm going to turn it over to Lupe Acero now to present the draft budget to you.
Thank you, Martin, and good morning. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, members of the public, and staff. This morning, I'll be going over the 2026-27 draft budget. The budget has been presented to the Administrative Finance Committee. We met on March 25th and went over the details of the budget. The committee recommended moving forward with the budget as presented and presented it to the full commission. The 2026-27 draft budget, as you can see on this slide, is a balanced budget at $144 million. And revenue sources are $121.2 million. We have transfers of $22.8, and then the program expenditures are $144 million. Thus, we're presenting to you a balanced budget. We will be coming back to the commission in June with the final budget, which will include some adjustments to some of the programs and budget tasks and subrecipients as well. The committee recommended forwarding the draft budget and salary schedule as presented to the full commission for review and a public hearing. The next slide here provides an overview of the revenues, and as Martin stated, most, if not all of the revenues for VCTC are from different revenue sources, which are state and federal, and with some local contributions. VCTC does not have a specific dedicated transportation funding source, and most revenues are restricted depending on the grant and regulations for specific uses. And we do not have a general fund. We talk about a general fund, but general fund is really where we pull all of the different sources that are not specifically sitting in a specific fund. As you can see here, for this budget year, the federal percentage of funding is 19%, state is 76%, and then local funding is 5%. And as Martin mentioned, you can see the state funding. Federal funding, most of it is from FTA, Federal Transit Administration funds. Those funds will increase with the final budget. We don't have all of the subrecipient funding included in the draft as of right now. The state funding at 76%, the local transportation fund and the STA make up a majority of that funding. The LTF is $52 million, and I'll go through on the next slide more details on that funding. And that's the 0.25% on sales taxes. STA is derived from the taxes on diesel fuel. And then local contributions is 5%, and that's really the contributions from our partnerships with the university, Moorpark, SBCAG, and then leases, revenue from leases, and our estimated investment income. So here's a little bit more detailed look at the LTF revenues, which are estimated at $52.3 million. This is the early estimate that we received from the county, and that's 43.2% of total revenues, which is significant. And that's a 3.1 increase versus this fiscal year estimate. The local agency pass-through is just under $40 million at $39.9 million. And it includes when I carry in balance is really the beginning fund balance. That's included in that calculation. But when you look at the slide here, you can see in the after COVID from 2021 through now, there's been significant increases in LTF revenue as consumers have really continued to spend after COVID. And also, the inflation rate. So inflation's high. The total increase, in fact, over the last 7 years, LTF has increased over $16 million, almost 40%, 39.6% in the last 7 years. And so just wanted to point out one of the conversations that Martin and I have had is just continuing to focus on this and really taking a look at long-term forecasting for our sales taxes and perhaps engaging a consulting firm that will help us with projections and taking a look at what those sales taxes are projected in the next couple of years. And certainly with Olympics and the World Cup, I think that's going to have a positive impact on Ventura County and generating more sales taxes. The next slide provides an overview of the STA, which is the tax that's derived from the diesel taxes. And that estimate for next year, for fiscal year 26-27, is $8.8 million, which is 7.2% of the budget. It is a decrease from fiscal year 25-26, about $792,000 less. If you were to draw a line, it really is in line more with the 2019-2020 fiscal years before pandemic. So we did get a spike after pandemic. We got a dip right during pandemic due to the stay-at-home order. And then after that stay-at-home order was lifted, we got not artificial, but it was a real, but one-time increase. And then it started leveling off. As I think consumers are buying different type of vehicles, they're not using diesel and or more efficiency vehicles. And this is one fund that we're going to continue to just really take a look at because it does provide funding for transit operations, transit capital projects, and any other unanticipated transit needs. So this slide really provides just the overview of the draft budget at $144 million. It is a decrease of $20.49 million versus the current approved 2025-26 budget. And some of the reasons is timing due to grants, for pass-through grants that are not included in this budget, and they will be included in the final budget. And the other part is some of the projects have been partially completed this year, therefore we're not including those costs in next year's budget. VCTC's responsibilities can be broken down into three major service areas: pass-through services, regional services, and core countywide services. This slide represents the pass-through services, which is 40% of the budget, or $52 million. And that is for transit grant administration and the TDA administration. And I just wanted to add a plug and thank our staff for all their time and dedication working through these pass-through grants because they require a lot of time and effort in order to get all of the grant requirements completed correctly. And they work aligned with all the subrecipients to ensure that grants are submitted properly and all the audits are completed on time. So we're currently going through the FTA triennial audit. We completed the TDA performance audit. And literally last week, we submitted the last couple of audits for the TDA fiscal audits, financial audits. So there were 52 audits of TDA subrecipients that were submitted. So it's an effort, but it's great that all 52 audits, I'm happy to report, received clean opinions. So they were all unmodified opinions. The next service level are the regional services, providing centralized services and cost efficiencies to the county, and that's about 49% of the draft budget at $70 million. And then core and countywide services at 11% of the budget, or almost $16.5 million. So this next slide provides the budgeted expenditures by program. You can see the pie chart shows the breakdown by the 6 programs, with the largest programs being transit and transportation at 32% of the budget, planning and programming 36%, and rail at 26% of the budget. And then the chart in the middle here that provides the a comparison of 2024-25. Those numbers are the actual numbers per the audit. And so the actual total program were $127.8 million in fiscal year 24-25. The approved budget, and that includes any amendments that were presented to the commission after the budget was adopted last June, are 168.9 million, and then now we're presenting the draft budget at 144 million, which is a decrease of 24 million versus the approved budget for this fiscal year. So taking a look at more detail by program, the Transit and Transportation Program, there's a decrease of 15.1 million. And you can see the various tasks, accessibility services, a slight decrease of $209,000, and that's due to completion of the study for the demand response integration plan. Regional Transit Technology has an increase of $816,000, and that is for the replacement of all of the fare boxes that we're planning to replace next year, and offset by a decrease as the Tap to Ride program will be completed this year. Transit Grant Administration, again, is a timing. We will be adjusting that budget with the final budget. Valley Express, a decrease of $768,000, mostly due to the fact that all of the new buses will be paid and completed in this fiscal year. And then VCTC Intercity, also a decrease of almost $800,000. We expect the rehabilitation costs to be less, and also we do have an offset of higher contract services resulting from higher increased service hours and higher rates. The highway program in total decreased $1.8 million, mostly highway project management with the decrease of 1.9, and that's due to the progress towards the completion of the draft environmental document for the US 101 project, and also offset by additional costs related to the coordinated adaptive ramp metering feasibility study. Moving on to the next program, our rail program, which is LOSAN. I'm so sorry. The rail total budget decreased $7.8 million. Looking at the different tasks, Amtrak, Pacific Liner, or LOSAN decreased, and that's due to an allocation from Metrolink to LOSAN for the implementation of the expanded service pilot program in partnership with SBCAG. And the Metrolink commuter rail decreased $3.6 million, and that's due to some of the work that's been completed at the Camarillo ADA and some Metrolink's capital rehabilitation projects, and then the reallocation to LOSAN. So that's creating that decrease of $3.6 million. The SPBL Santa Paula branch line decreased 5.8, and that's progress towards the completion of the bridge. And also the Trail Master Plan update and priority legislative budget project. And again, for the project for the bridge that's being funded with SDA funds, and staff will be submitting for reimbursement to FEMA as soon as FEMA obligates the funds. So we should be getting reimbursement back for those costs. Commuter assistance budget, overall increased $18,000, and that's due to staffing and consulting services. And the planning and programming budget total decreased $1.9 million. Some of the notable changes were the regional transit planning, which had a decrease of $3.1 million, and that is primarily due to the progress of the procurement of the interoperative radio equipment and implementation of bus improvements. The regional transportation planning had a decrease of $169,000 as the wildlife study was completed, and there were some increases in consulting services in that budget task. TDA budget increased $1.4 million, and that's due to increases in pass-through to subrecipients. The general government budget increased 1.8 in total. The most notable increase is in the management and administration budget, and that's due to a one-time $1 million request to pay down the unfunded pension liability. So that would The current liability is about $1.4 million based on the most recent actuarial report. That would bring that liability down to $452,000, which would bring the funded percentage up from 90.9 to 97.2, so close to 100% funded. There's also a $500 placeholder there for a request for a new enterprise software, accounting software. We're currently operating with a legacy system that is pretty dated. I think it goes back like 30 years, so it's not, doesn't integrate, it's not cloud-based, and it just has a lot of limitations. We do plan to bring back to the commission in June a full staff report on RFP for a new ERP system. The commission approved staff to move forward with an ERP assessment. That assessment is near completion now. It's going to be completed, so we'll be bringing that report forward to the commission. And we also have $100,000 in this budget for the ADA compliance study. The next slide is our staffing cost, our personnel cost. I think some of the... So the wages and fringe benefits are $5.4 million, which is 3.8% of the draft budget. We're budgeting 25 full-time positions and 2 part-time intern positions. The total increase is $593,000 from the 25-26 budget. And those are the detail of what makes up that difference, the increase. We are requesting a new full-time position for an accounting technician in the finance department. And the intent is for that position to help assist with some technical tasks, allowing the rest of the team or the entire team to focus on a lot of the new pronouncements, new GASME requirements, focusing on updating our more complex reporting and policies. The amount that's in the budget is $73,000. This is a non-exempt position, so it's an hourly position. We always budget conservatively, so it's budgeted at the top of the salary range or the hourly range. $61,500 is the merit pool estimate for performance-based merits for staff, and then $99,600 is the proposed cost of living adjustment, really intended to just keep up with inflation. $94,700 is for a proposed 457 deferred compensation match up to 3%. And again, it's conservative. It's a match up to 3%. Therefore, VCTC would match if an employee contributed 3% of their base wages. VCTC would match the up to 3%. $106,000 is taxes and pension, and that's really the cost of pension going up and taxes. We're right now 90.9% funded in the pension, and insurance is also going up based on the new insurance rates that we received. So that's $78,000 for incremental insurance costs. And $62,000 is OPEB, which is the other post-employment benefits, which is really the medical benefits for retirees. And that tends to swing a little bit because it depends on what PERS classification the employee is in. We recently had 2 retirees that were in the old, what we call classic, so their medical benefit post-retirement is a little bit higher than the new PEPRA employees. And so $62,000 is the increase on the other post-employment benefits. And my final slide here shows the, again, we have a balanced budget at $144 million, and our estimated fund balance in total is $22.8 million after reserves. The general fund balance, estimated fund balance, and this is at the end of the budget year after in June, so it would be June 2027, $690,000 general fund balance. The LTF, $508,000, and this is after we do have a reserve for LTF of $4 million. SDA fund balance at $19.5 million. SAVE fund balance of 1.9, and we also have a $1.5 million reserve for the SAVE. SGR at $106 million, and then SBBL $25,000. The Valley Express and VCTC Inner City do not carry a fund balance. Their fund balance is not unassigned, is really their capital assets. And with that, I'll take any questions.
To the chair. To the chair. Now that you've received the staff report, I recommend that you open the public hearing and take public comment.
Yes, thank you. So no questions for clarification of a report first?
You can ask questions, clarification of the report, but I would
Yes.
open the public comment
Okay,
prior to
great.
making those questions.
Thank you. Okay, I'll open the public open the public hearing and call for any comments to the public hearing. The time is now 9:56. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments at this time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And so I am going to close the public, the comment section of this hearing. The time is still 9:56. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions? If no questions, we have our recommendation is to receive the fiscal year 2026 draft budget and salary schedule. This is a receive and file, so no vote taken. Anything else? If there's nothing else, thank you, Ms. Cicero, for your
Thank you.
report. Okay, we're going to move to item number, that seems like that was pretty quick. Let's move to item number 11, the regional fare payment update, and this is by Ms. Claire Grasty.
Good morning. Gonna open my.
Oh, and Matt Miller.
And before Claire starts, I just wanted to say Commissioner Long had requested that we do a preview of some of the, I think, exciting technological advancements we've had in our transit operations, both for VCTC Inner City and for Valley Express. So as a
Yes.
former transit director, I'm not going to say anymore. I'm going to turn it over to Claire.
And really region wide too. So I think Matt gave a presentation on our technology projects about a year or so ago. And so there's been a lot that's happened since. And so I'm happy to kind of give an overview, and I'll just be going through all of the items related to fare payments today. So first, very exciting, our Tap to Ride program. So this allows you to just tap your debit or your credit card, your wallet in your phone, your Apple Watch, whatever, directly on the bus. And so certainly makes boarding a lot easier. I always appreciate this when I'm traveling and they have, open loop systems. So I think it really makes it easier to ride. So right now, VCTC Inner City, Valley Express, and Camarillo Area Transit are all live with Tap to Pay, and it's been very successful. And currently underway with Gold Coast Transit, Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks, and Moore Park. They should all be up by the end of the month, and we should have a soft launch, we're hoping, by then. Had, couple complications here and there, but good progress. And there's also ways to allow for discounts for passengers with disabilities, seniors, and veterans will also be available. They're available at VCTC Inner City, but this is something that will be rolled out, region wide. Also fare capping, which caps how much you pay in a month. It's a great, I think, really wonderful thing to implement. And so normally if you buy, a 31-day pass or a monthly pass, you're paying for that all up front, which can be cost prohibitive for some passengers. So what fare capping does is every time you tap, it adds up. And then once you hit that same cap, then you don't pay anymore. And so it's more of a pay-as-you-go method. It's a little bit easier for a lot of people. And so this system allows for fare capping as well. And so all the region-wide things will happen subsequent to all the agencies being live. So very exciting program. The county-wide fare box replacement. So we're transitioning from this current fare box on the left to the new one on the right. Really, the old ones are obsolete, will soon be unsupported, and really have reached the end of their useful life. So we're transitioning, we're using the same company, GenFare, which is allowing us to not have to replace all of the fare boxes all at once, which obviously, as you can imagine, countywide is a very big undertaking, and we would have, a system where we're using 2 different fare boxes. So doing it this way has allowed us to implement it in a way that's been less burdensome over the period of 3 years. And so what we've done is that we have replaced them as new buses have come into service or been ordered from a lot of the agencies. And so through that, we've already replaced 55 fare boxes, which is great. But now we're getting close to when they'll be unsupported. So we plan to replace the remaining, hopefully, by the end of the fiscal year 26-27. But we do have quite a bit more left, 85 left. But this is great. It'll be more modern. This is funded by the SB 125 funds. It's pretty costly, so it's been great to have those funds. That's allowed us to do this, and so it'll also allow us to transition ultimately to having kind of a cloud-based system. The current system is a bit outdated and archaic. And then also the demand response scheduling system, RideCo. So we've presented about this before. It's great for a scheduling system on the back end and for a rider app on the front end. But the other thing that it's now allowing us to do is to allow people who are using paratransit, who are using the general purpose dial-a-ride, to now pay with credit cards. So this has been, I think, a wonderful thing as well. Open loop isn't really implemented yet in paratransit and dial-a-ride systems. So that may be something that happens in the future, but now in the interim, it's great to have this available so that really, very soon, all of passengers throughout the county will be able to pay with a credit card or debit card if they would like to. And so right now, really, Valley Express soon will be on this, but all the other operators currently allow for this. So Gold Coast, Moore Park, Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks, Camarillo, East County Transit Alliance. And so it's been, I think, a pretty wonderful thing as well. And you can also do it if you want to use over the phone. You could do it that way as well. And then lastly, VC Bus Pass. We've had this for a little over 5 years now. It's a closed loop system, so it works a little bit differently than the Tap to Ride. But you reload your cards, their stored value, or you have a monthly pass, and it kind of is a catch-all for all the other things that these new systems can't do or don't yet do. And so it works pretty well. There's a card or an app, but you do have to reload it. It's more steps than using Tap to Ride. But it is really great at a couple things, which is, one, when we work with social service agencies to purchase passes and stuff, this is really a good system to help support that. We've been working with housing developments and who are purchasing passes for their residents, and using this system is great for that as well. Other things like, flexible spending account benefits, such as, transit benefits that some employers have. A lot of the cards they give you are not yet chip tap enabled. And so when that happens, they'll be able to use the Tap to Ride system. But at this time, they can't really do that. And so a lot of times they'll use the VC Bus Pass system to do that. So we'll also be working to get data by colleges for our college ride program, and we'll be using this system. So over time, I think these capabilities will be included in the open loop program. And so over time, I think we'll probably phase out of this. But for now, there isn't really a way to do all of those kinds of things that I just mentioned with any other system. So we'll keep this until those kind of technology improvements are made, and eventually phase out of this system. But it has been great for what it's supposed to do now. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions? Commissioner White?
Thank you very much, Chair. It's it's exciting to see that there's so many opportunities for people to ride the bus, including mentioned the point that you mentioned with helping the passes to the housing and the social services. Many of those people do not have the funds to ride the bus, and so many housing programs and social services buy these opportunities to get people on the bus. And I think it's going to increase ridership, all of this stuff. So I'm glad we got this information today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation. One of the more anomalous routes is the Canaan shuttle. I see Anitha Bailon in the back. The state has been kind to waive the fare box recovery requirements on that particular line, but it's now up, and now we need to move into a new era to finance that Canaan shuttle if we wanted to continue. There are no fare boxes on board, and I think the timing is crucial since they're already doing a rollout and installation right now. If we could look at that and price that out, if we could work with you. While you were speaking, I was trying to send an email to my staff and Anitha in the back and to you to see if we could get together to talk about the future of that Canaan shuttle and how to start collecting for the first time the fare box fares. So thank you. I just want to give you a heads up on that, but it's good timing, I think, with the rollout in Thousand Oaks and other places that are co-located. Maybe there's a way that this could be incorporated. Thank you.
Of course. Yes, we're more than happy to work with the county and make that work.
Commissioner Engler?
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the presentation. Just a comment, really. I was in DC a couple of weeks ago, and they have Tap to Ride there. What a wonderful system to be able to use just a credit card or debit card on any transit, use the metro buses. It didn't matter. Walk on, tap, and you're going. So to see us going this route is heartening. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I totally agree.
Any other?
Can I just make one comment? Thank you, Claire. I just wanted to acknowledge Claire and the transit team on this, specifically Matt Miller, who's I think vacationing with his family today, but Dolores is also here from Transit and Aubrey. But being at the conference of CEOs last weekend, I was really amazed by how VCTC, for being a relatively considered a small agency, is utilizing a lot of these technologies that even some of the largest agencies haven't really rolled out yet. So just really want to thank Matt for that. I know he's also worked with our state folks on trying to integrate and make the process easier for the rider at the end of the day. You know, that here we are finally being able to use other fare medium like your phone or Apple Pay. So just wanted to make that note.
Yeah, I agree. All the credit really goes to Matt and to the operators. It's not exactly an easy lift to implement these things, and there's always complications. So the operators have been really great to work through this. And this kind of complicated multi-agency thing is not always easy. And I'll say Cal ITP as well. The state's help has been really funding all the consultant work to facilitate this, and we couldn't have done it without them either. So it's really been a wide team effort to get to this point.
Great. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say thank you to the staff. I think you've been working on this for a while, and to see it to fruition everywhere is just really impressive, and want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, there doesn't look like any more questions, so thank you so much for your report.
Thank you
This is
very
a
much.
receive and file. Thank you. So we're going to move on to item number 12, General Counsel report.
No report from General Counsel.
Great, thank you. And now we'll move to our agency reports. SCAG, Commissioner Judge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, this month, SCAG's meeting was postponed until next week due to the Passover holidays, so I won't have a report this month on SCAG.
Great, thank you. We'll move to Southern California Regional Rail Authority. Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not all is well with Metrolink. we have two converging items that are affecting Metrolink right now. You may have seen that last week, there was a bulletin put out by Metrolink that they were going to be reducing rail service across their entire span of rail for about 45 days. This was due to a issue attaining parts and maintaining our drive locomotives. We are hoping that we can overcome these issues within 45 days. A lot of discussion at our board meeting the other day. Is 45 days enough? The 45 days was really aimed at getting ready for the FIFA events coming up early in summer. It's unknown whether we'll be able to attain that. The problem is that our parts supplier is having issues getting us parts for maintenance of our engines. The engines themselves just will not, we can't force them anymore. If you've noticed, there's been an increase in delays due to maintenance issues on our routes, and therefore we cut back on our number of routes. Ventura County's line was affected, I believe, with four of our regularly scheduled trains were canceled, and that has resulted in mainly midday issues for people traveling on our rail going into LA. The second issue that has come up is having to do with financial issues for Metrolink. It's really a threefold issue going on. A couple of years ago, we did a ridership attempt to move from what has traditionally been Metrolink's bread and butter, which was 9 to 5 people, 5 days a week going into LA for work. Post-COVID, that has never recovered. It is not an issue where we're trying to adjust to this new world. We tried a couple of years ago to attract more just general ridership, people going to LA or further for different reasons other than work. That ridership has not materialized for us in the way that we had hoped. Along with that, we have contracts like everybody else. We rolled out a new purveyor of both rail personnel and maintenance last year. There was quite a few stumblings when that rolled out. However, those were overcome, but now the contract increases that were involved with that now have come to roost. And then our two largest agencies, for those who don't know Metrolink's organization, Metrolink is a collaboration of 5 different transit commissions: LA, Orange County, Ventura, Riverside, and San Bernardino, all of whom come together and help run Metrolink. The two largest agencies in there are LA, of course, and Orange County. Both of them are cutting their payments to Metrolink, creating a real crisis for Metrolink in terms of their monetary stability. So with that, I won't go too much more in any details, but suffice it to say, Metrolink has some challenges in front of it. Hopefully after 45 days, the number of trains coming out to Ventura County will be restored, but the underlying issues with cutting of funds and that sort of issues are still outstanding.
Thank you. We'll move on to Losan, Commissioner White.
Thank you very much, Chair. Losan is not in that bad of a situation right now, so I feel a little better about that. Although there's a lot of work going on with the Pacific Surfliner, which goes up from San Luis Obispo to San Luis Obispo to San Diego, 351 miles. We had a meeting with the 1098 working group last week, and it talks a lot about some of the concerns we have with the money coming down, but it also talks about track closures. good repair, making sure they're in good repair equipment and staffing. So that was kind of nice. We are excited about the expanded services from Ventura up to Goleta that's coming up in May. That's been a project we've been working on for quite a while. That'll happen in early May, like I said. So other than that, that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Okay, and you can go ahead and report on the coastal rail as well?
No, I won't, because
Okay.
there's nothing to report on the
Okay.
coastal rail. We only meet a couple times a year.
Okay,
Thank you.
great, thank you. We'll move on to, let's see, CalCog, Commissioner Crosswhite, so she's not here today?
Commissioner Crosswhite is traveling actually for SCAG business today, so.
All right, and so there's no alternate, so we'll move on to CalVans. Back to you, Commissioner White.
Thank you. CalVans is in the middle of redefining itself a little bit. We have a executive meeting today at 1:30 that I'll be involved with, and our next meeting will be April 9th, which is next week. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, great. So that's our final agency reports. And so we'll move on to our general counsel for a closed session.
At this time, we'll adjourn to closed session, but we'll ask that the clerk please read the closed session items before we do so.
Closed session item number 1, public employee performance evaluation, title Executive Director. Closed session conference with labor negotiator, unrepresented employee executive director. Closed session conference with real property negotiators, negotiating party, VCTC and Union Pacific Railroad. Closed session conference with legal counsel, 1 case. Closed session conference with legal counsel, 1 case as well.
Madam Chair.
Great.
If you don't mind, I'm going to be recusing myself from closed session on item 3.
Great. Are there any other conflicts of interest for any of the closed session items? If not, thank you, Commissioner Judge. And are we going to come back?
I don't anticipate we will come back, that we will adjourn to closed session.
Great, okay. We'll now adjourn to closed session. Time is now 10:17. And we will be back here May 1st at 9 o'clock.